How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of NASCAR's DFS Pick Show, FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I am your host, TK Nation 47, joined with Mega Roller 31. Mega, how was the Xfinity race today? What did we learn from Richmond?
I think it was decent. I mean, obviously, you need some dominators. I didn't know if Gibbs would be able to get out there and lead most of the race. Barry got them, led some. Nemechek led some. Seemed like don't think there was a ton of crashes and stuff. A couple flat tires. Kyle Sieg was a good play, and that kind of derailed him a little bit. Some speeding penalty. It seemed like there's penalties today. It was people going too fast on pit road and stuff like that just kind of really hurt. Gregson was a strong play, but he had issues with his brakes and his he thought he had them fixed, went back out there, his brakes blew up and debris all over, so another caution. So yeah, but I did well. It was a profitable day.
Not so profitable for me. I think I was a little too heavy on Sieg and Gregson, but we move on here to the Toyota 450 laps here.
It's a 400.
400, excuse me, 400 laps.
You got to watch it. It's tricky because sometimes they're kilometers, and it's it's weird.
Yeah. So Richmond 1 mile track. We had qualifying today. Blaney on the pole, but let's talk a little bit about what to expect and what kind of pricing are we dealing with here. This is some soft pricing.
Oh, extremely soft, and there's some really good prime values towards the back of it. I think if it wasn't so many laps in this race and needing a dominator, and if you think there's a guy up top that could lead almost all the laps of this race, then it's very possibly you pick 5 guys in the back that are going to get some really good place differential. You could leave a couple of thousand on the table and still be satisfied with your lineup. There's only 2 guys over 10K. It's really, really soft pricing. So it's almost you can play almost whoever you want in this. So you're probably looking for a first dominator. So who up there in the first 4 could get out there and lead early on, who's in the middle of the pack that can make their way up and maybe take over the race later on. If there's going to be a second dominator, and then, who looks good for place differential to fill out the rest of your lineup. Potentially maybe go 3 dominators in this one. With the way the pricing is and the way that there's some really strong plays in the less than $6,000 range.
I would have to agree, sir. That is where I am leaning as well with my strategy. I think we're going to be on the same dominator up top here, but let's start off with the man on the pole, Ryan Blaney, 9,400. I don't think of Ryan Blaney as a guy that can dominate from start to finish. He's always the guy that kind of, starts around 10th, regroups with the car, and then eventually he finds himself out front to lead some laps towards the end of the race. Are we wire to wire with Blaney tomorrow at any point in time in strategy?
I don't think so. I think a lot of people are going to be on him. Your comment to me when you saw the standings was Blaney won another pole, and my instant thought was the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, and what did that get them?
Yeah, Blaney.
Yeah,
back-to-back poles, I believe, or Atlanta. I believe he got a pole at Atlanta.
He's just not getting the results from. So maybe they're just designing this car to qualify well, and it's just not doing well in races. So, and his track history here isn't stellar either. So
not at all.
I'm not saying he's a fade, but I'm thinking that potentially there's some other guys up here that could get out early and dominate. So keep him in your pool. He's going to be very popular, but I don't think he's going to tie Gibbs this if you watch the Xfinity race.
Okay. Gibbs was a very strong car. That's not what we're dealing with here with Blaney, but hey, crazier things have happened in NASCAR this year. Maybe 5% in line, 5%, 10% of my lineups might have Blaney in it. All right, next up we have William Byron, 9K in the 24 Hendrick Motorsports. Nothing much pops for me as far as Byron's history here at Richmond, but I don't mind him at short tracks. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's decent here. And if you're looking at the screen here and wondering, you see where it says the practice column, that's how they ranked with their like average practice speed. So he had the 7th highest out of everybody. If you look at the far column, like the one that says CZ, that's the difference between their practice and their qualification. So some of these guys are mostly like within 1 or 2 spots. So it completely makes sense. So they had good practices. They qualified well. Byron was around 7th. So maybe he drops back, but I think, you know, he's got a really good crew chief and everything. I think he could definitely challenge Blaney to get out front early. So I think he's definitely in contention here to be a cash play potentially and be one of your dominators in your lineup.
Agreed. I do like this next play better for GPPs, and that is Kyle Busch. One thing that we know about Kyle Busch is he loves to practice, and when he has time to dial in the car before the race, it is definitely the better outcome for him when it comes to race time. This is a sub 10K play still, 9,900. You're getting a little bit of place differential. If he wins this thing, I think he's really set up to dominate well. He's led over 347 laps in the last 5 races that he's raced here, and he has 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s. I like Kyle Busch.
Yeah, and I think I've actually put him in the cash category this week just because as long as he doesn't have like a mechanical malfunction or speeding on pit lane or something like that, I think definitely he is one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car in practice, qualified well. I think this is the week that Gibbs really breaks that glass ceiling and starts to actually, you know, show some stuff with this car. And I don't think all 4 drivers, but I think he's definitely going to be one of them that is going to have a really good race here.
I would agree. Next up, we have Chase Briscoe. This man just seemingly won't go away when it comes to running up front this year. I think we got to start taking the 14 a little seriously here. 8,400 is definitely a price bump from Briscoe in the past. 6 races here in the start plus of last year. I mean, he would be getting down there to the 6K range, but now 8,400 with a very promising start. Do you like the 14 this week?
All the Stewart-Haas cars are really fast. I think I'm going to build a Stewart-Haas GPP this week, but just looking at him in context with the other guys up here, I don't think that he gets out. He potentially could, but I see him like maybe hanging around the top 5, probably definitely a top 10 finish, but I have him as a GPP because I don't feel he's like a solid cash play.
Yeah, starting a little too far forward for me in cash. GPP for sure, because of the parity that we have with these new cars. It seems like anyone can find their way to the front if they nail it with the car and the car setup, because everybody has the same parts, right? And Briscoe and I think Stewart-Haas has really benefited from that, and they don't feel so far behind like they did last year. And Briscoe, I think, could dominate this race just as any other guy up here. 8,400 GPP. Eric Jones, 7,600 petty GMS, the 43 car. I think it's a little too far forward for me. Won't have much exposure.
Yeah, GPP, but I'm predicting that he's going to win a race this year. I'm not saying it's going to be this.
Yeah,
one.
I can see. I'll agree. I'll go there with you.
This year, he is like 12 points out of 16th to make the playoffs. So I think we're going to see, for the first time in a long time, a petty car in the playoffs in the chase this year.
I like that call. I don't think that's a hot take at all. He's had a lot of speed, especially on 1.5 mile and mile race tracks. So
I'll have to see if there's a future out there that can put on him to make chip 16.
That might be a solid bet, but hopefully it has some long odds. All right, next up, I think this is going to be the chalk dominator of the slate. Obvious reasons, but price tag included. 9,600 is a super fair price tag. You're able to fit other 9K drivers, other 8K drivers. You can kind of do whatever you want with this guy. And at his price tag, 3 wins in the last 5 races. Truex loves Richmond.
Yeah, he's been absolutely dominant here. Again, a little shaky start with the new car. I think it was like Vegas. He probably should have won the race if there wasn't a really late caution. So I think this is, again, another Gibbs car with he and Kyle Busch. I think this is the week that these two turn it around and look really, really good here.
Yeah, I like both their ceilings for this week. I could see myself building multiple Busch Truex lineups in GPPs. All right, next up is Kevin Harvick, 8K. I don't like starting in 7th, but like you said, Storehouse has some speed. 8K for Kevin Harvick. How far we've fallen with him. I
Yeah.
mean, wasn't it like only 3 years ago this guy won like 8 races in the year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just crazy how it's degressed for him over time.
Yeah, I mean, but that was the COVID year when like nobody they figured out the come off the hauler cold and
Mhm.
dominate races, and but it just seems that he did look good in practice, and he has been solid this year, better than he was last year. So I'm not ready to crown him yet, but I do think that he is playable in cash, probably going to be like last man or second to last man in. I wouldn't make him a priority by any means, but I do think he's cash
Mhm.
viable.
Yeah, he's going to be in my player pool. He's going to be maybe a guy in hideout situations that if I land on him, I might give him a shot. Definitely interested to see where the ownership falls. Next up, we have Ross Chastain. Boy, where do I begin? I've waited a week to talk about Ross Chastain. I'm sure you, like I, had a bunch of AJ Allmendinger last week. We were sitting so pretty, ready to cash in a profitable NASCAR Cup slate, and this bleep just runs him down. I mean, okay, yeah, Allmendinger moved him in the corner before it, but this guy literally in the straightaway heading into a turn drove right through him, just drove right through him. He spins up into Bowman. Both Bowman and
Which Bowman
Allmendinger
was the one that was the collateral damage in that. That
right.
was
He was just driving on the outside, and it's like, okay, you wanted your first win. Is that really how you wanted to win? Wrecking 2 drivers in front of you? I don't know. He and it's not like this guy doesn't wreck people all the time, because anytime he's near anyone on our plate track or Talladega, it's like you better watch your right fender because this guy's gonna take you out. Like, I don't know. I hate Chastain right now, but I can't ignore playing like the play. I have to play him for money reasons.
He's in good
But
form. Even
yeah,
regardless,
I just hate him.
I get it. Same feeling, but I think just in his current form here, Trackhouse has shown some speed. They've taken a giant leap forward this year, and I think he's a safe cash play to be in your dominator pool because again, he's not afraid to move all the way, and he could push his way up front.
No, he's gonna push his way up front, and he's gonna wreck you doing it. Yeah, but he has to be in the dominator pool.
The only one that would take him out would be Kyle in this one. Blaney's not going to take him out. Byron's not going to take him out. Briscoe is probably going to, and Jones probably yield to him. Truex tries to stay out of trouble. Like the only one that would really actually probably try to take him out up there would be Kyle Busch.
I just hope there's a scenario where he's coming in off a pit. Allmendinger might be like a lap or 2 down out of the race and just goes, "Oh yeah, I remember you." Whoop, right up the track and into the wall.
He's gonna Ryan Seagum or actually make contact.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm out of the race anyway. Who cares? Just move him up into the track, get that nice side skirt all indented into the defender. Now you blew a tire. Anyway, let me put the Chastain stuff to bed.
But keep in mind, and this one guy I work with at work, he said it best about these new cars. He said they're built like Tonka trucks.
Yeah, that's true.
He was like spot on it. So Jeff, that one's for you. Good insight there. You're absolutely correct, because these cars take a beating and keep on going. So
yep. Yeah, and short tracks are where
Arlington's
aerodynamics don't matter.
I worry about the wall in Darlington. Like this Darlington stripe is going to be on the wall, not on the car this year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the paint schemes on the black stripes this year. All right, moving on. Now we have Christopher Bell, 8,700. I don't know what to do here, but he had some speed in practice.
Yeah, he looked good. So I think
feel like I should just
all
buy in on
all
Gibbs. Yeah.
all the Gibbs cars were really good here last year.
Yeah.
And it is a
Yeah.
Toyota sponsored race. So wink, wink. He has
writing on the wall.
He's got like 3 Xfinity wins at Richmond. So I think he's
2
another
top 5s in 3 races. Okay. All right. So we're in on Bell. I think we might. You expect him to have high ownership? Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think
okay.
if people are going to look at his Xfinity record, I think people are going to look at who's 5th fastest in practice, and I think people really like the Gibbs and the Toyotas here. And
all right.
I think, yeah, I would be. So when I'm saying high ownership, I'm not talking like 40, 50%. I'm thinking my usually high ownership for me is anything over 20%.
Okay. 20, I could see 22, 23%. And that's fair. But I still like that ownership compared to probably Chastain's like 30 or maybe somewhere down here in the 8K range, like maybe Tyler Reddick, because you're getting some place differential. He might be, a little higher owned. We'll see. But okay, I like Bell. We're in on Bell. Let's hope, that might be a decent bet. I'm gonna have to take a look and see if he's got some good odds on winning this race. That might be something, because hey, we've had 6 different race winners this year. So if that trend continues, Christopher Bell could be on that list. Let's take a look. I might take a look right now and see what kind of odds he might have.
I'm going to move on to the next 3.
Yes, go ahead.
The speed round here. You've got Logano, Custer, and Hamlin. Logano in this Penske car, I think could maybe snip the top 10, but not super impressed here. Almirola and Custer, both Stewart Haas cars. Like I said, they look good in practice. Like they had some speed, but I think they're starting too far forward here. I'm really not into either one. So I think all 3 of them GPP. And then we come to Denny Hamlin in 9,300. Mm-hmm. He has struggled this year. I think he might be the Gibbs car that doesn't break out. I think it's status quo. There was an April Fool's Day joke that he was going to announce his retirement. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter or social media, but
I did. I know he's really upset with just NASCAR in general, and I don't know if his heart's in it.
Yeah. And he was 19th fastest in practice. Like he did well here, but I just don't see him like jumping up and still until I see strides going forward in this new car and everything, which is ironic because when we did the preview of the car, we used him as the example.
Yeah.
Anything but the poster child for being successful in this new car. So GPP until he shows something. Now we're
I think we've been really on it with Denny this year and how it's not the same. Like he's got 4 in the last 5 races, he's got 4 top 5s. And I don't even know if this guy's going to top 10 come tomorrow. And I'm going to be out. And that's crazy. Like maybe I have a sprinkle of ownership, but 9,300, I rather play the guys that we talked about in the top 10, even Chase Briscoe over Denny Hamlin. So it's just really crazy to see the fall off. And about the other 3 that you talked about while I was looking up odds, 12-1, by the way, for Christopher Bell. I don't really love that number. But there is a 50-1 on Suarez that has me thinking. And he's also, what was that, 7-1 to top 5. So I don't mind those odds. But anyway, Almirola, Logano, Custer. I like the price tag, but I think he's starting too far forward. I'm going to be out. Almirola, probably the same. Although I think Almirola has some decent track history here. In 5 races, he has 2 top 10s with an average finish of 13th. So he might start and finish around the same place. GPP for me. And Logano, I haven't been overly impressed with Logano in these new cars, except for what he did at the Busch Clash. But I think everybody was learning what they had. But if you think about it in comparison to what we're about to do at Richmond, although Busch Clash was like a quarter mile, like not even, but same kind of theories. So
it's
maybe
like they put the race cars in a dryer and turned it on.
Pretty much, yeah. Like you couldn't tell who was on the lead lap. It was insane. But yeah, I think Logano maybe is a decent play. Let's see what kind of race trim he has. I think GPP for sure. All right, moving on. Suarez. Wow, luckily. All right, now we're moving on to Daniel Suarez Trackhouse. This 7,800 price tag is really nice. I really like Daniel Suarez tomorrow for GPP play.
Yeah, I think he's okay in cash just based on the price. He was 11th fastest in practice, so I think he can kind of end up where he started. So,
yeah, I think he's a good play. Moving on to Chase Elliott at 10.5. I think he's going to be fairly popular like you have here. I have not seen much from Hendrick Motorsports so far outside of Bowman. Any love here for Chase?
I think he's playable, and you can definitely get him in any lineup here. And I was shocked to see that he's leading the actually points race at this point. So, but I think he's borderline cash. I have him as GPP just because he didn't really look great in practice. He was in the 20th, so I don't know what the Hendricks cars were doing here besides Byron. You said Bowman, but I think you meant Byron.
Oh yes, yeah, Byron. Sorry.
But yeah, I think he's playable. I think he's gonna be very popular with the place differential.
Yeah, agreed. Luckily for us, salary doesn't matter, like you said. Next up, we have Tyler Reddick, 8,200. Very strong car so far this year. He's done well. He's ran really fast. I don't mind the price tag either. They're gonna price these guys up at some point.
Yeah, and I think you can play him in cash also if you compare him up against, I can't believe he's like more expensive than Kevin Harvick. But Chase Briscoe, you save $200, and Briscoe might be able to get up there and dominate early, but you have a guy here that's got place differential and could potentially get in top 5. So,
agreed. Yeah, I think Reddick could be a strong play. Next up, we have Harrison Burton and Chris Buescher. I have a feeling Burton is going to be under-owned, and I think I'm going to be close to out. I think he's really struggled with these new cars. And then I really like Buescher. I think everyone's going to gravitate towards that practice speed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to change this here. I think people are going to look at person's price tag and his Xfinity record and really go after him here. But at GPP, there's better plays. You don't need his salary. There's other guys in the price range that are much better plays.
Yeah, I was thinking about not even playing him.
He's I think could finish where he started. He had the second fastest speed. So I don't think he's going to move up 16 places, but he doesn't need much to pay off his salary. If he can move up into the top 15, I think he's fine for that.
Yeah, definitely like Buescher. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski in the 6, 7,400 price tag. He has really struggled the past couple of weeks.
He's lost his whole team pretty much due to penalties.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's a good call. And I think he was talking about that in an interview about the frustrations of not having many resources to go on. He's losing engineers, car chiefs. And
we joked last week that he was going to have to hop out of the car and change the tires on the pit stop. So
yeah, I think that's the whole reason for the continued struggles. And I'm going to be underweight to the field for Keselowski ownership because of it. One win though here in the last 5 races. Obviously that was with Penske and not Roush Fenway or Roush Keselowski. So next up, Austin Cindric, 7,200. Did not look good in practice.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know. You don't need his salary today. Could he potentially get up there and do something? But there's so many other people that I feel are more definite that could and not speculative. So I think I'm out of him. He first time this season, he's a fade for me.
Yep. Yeah, I don't see much history here at this track to go on either. I'd rather play Suarez or Buescher. Moving on to Kyle Larson, mega shock alert. Kyle Larson going to be one of the highest owned on the slate.
Yes, and you see the 11. What I did was I figured out if he doesn't lead a lap and has no fast lap points, he just needs to finish 11th to get 4x. 4x is what I look for, kind of for the floor for these guys in cash. Just I want my guys to at least be at 4x, and if I can get more, that's great. So yeah, if he doesn't lead a lap, he just needs to make it up to 11th, and I think that's definitely viable for him. One of the best drivers here, no matter what type of track.
Yep. Yeah. Play Kyle Larson. All right. Next up, we have a couple of guys we'll talk about here in a row: Gilliland, Castle, and McDowell.
I think they're all fades just because I think they're starting too far forward. You've got a whole group of probably about 6 guys behind them that definitely can get ahead of them. So, I mean, they're starting with 6 place differential points to negative right there. It's not their style of track, not the greatest cars. So, I think that they're ones that, especially on a track like this, that you're going to see 2 or 3 laps down eventually.
Yeah, if you've been playing Gilliland all year, I mean, keep riding the train. And maybe he turns into like a little thing where Core of the Joy would qualify high and end up finishing in like 20th. Like if you've been doing that with Gilliland, keep doing that. But for me, it's not for me this week. I think he is starting too far forward. Next up, I'll pass those 3. We have Austin Dillon, 7K. Do you like Austin Dillon this week?
No, I really don't feel him here. Play track driver, not really. Could he get some place differential? It's a decent price, but it's a GPP. He's not a slam dunk for cash. If I'm looking for something in that price range, then I really built my lineup wrong, because I don't think I'm gonna I don't think in any of my builds I ended up around 7K. So he's kind of priced in no man's land. So if that's where you land, I don't hate the play. There's definitely place differential, but his practice time was in the 27s. He's starting 25th, so that tells me that he's maybe could sniff the top 20. I don't know.
Yeah. He does have an average finish of 10th in the last 5 races. That was with a completely different car. 1 top 5 to his name. Might be one of those sneaky backdoor drivers here at Richmond. Maybe he doesn't have a good average run or doesn't practice well, but we'll see. I think I might have a little bit of GPP exposure to him in the pool because of the starting position. I'd rather play him over the guys that we just talked about, though.
Yeah.
Allmendinger, 6,700. He just drove today. They're just be cautious because there might be a moment where he takes out Chastain. I personally hope so.
I think it's coming later on. Like they say, revenge is a dish that's best served cold. And I don't think that this is necessarily the track where he wants to do that. So yeah, he did run today. He finished 4th. So I mean, it wasn't
he had a better car than I expected.
Yeah, and Cully has been trying in this series. This is kind of like the rotational car between he and Hemrick, and maybe some other in it. So I think there are some lineups where I did throw him in. I think he's more of a GPP, but I think if you do end up in that area, I would take him over Dillon, over McDowell, over Chris Buescher. It's close, but if you want the place differential, then I'd take that. But Buescher was very, very fast in practice, so I think I have to look at that.
I think Buescher has a better. Yeah. All right, Kurt Busch, the number 45, 7,900 price tag is a little inflated, but definitely performed much better in practice. Not sure what happened in qualifying with this 2311 team. Maybe they just got off on the cold track and didn't have a good warm-up lap. I'm not sure what happened, but I don't mind Kurt Busch.
I feel that somebody's saying like the groups there wasn't equality between the groups, because like one of them had cold tires and the other one had hot tires, but I'm not going to dig too much into that because that's here there. But the one thing I like is, like you said, he was good in practice. And if you look at it, just doing the math, he just needs to move to 20th to get the 4X. That's only 7 positions. Yeah. I think Kurt Busch, with his history at this track and being a veteran and in a decent car, 2311 still needs to progress a little bit further than they have. And this is the second car, like, because Bubba has the primary car. So like only needing to move up 7 places, I think that's doable. So I think it's definitely cash. It has hit before.
Yep. I definitely agree. Next up, we have Alex Bowman in the 85. Hendrick, not so good in practice, but there's place differential here. And Bowman is probably too good to be driving behind guys like Castle, McDowell, Gilliland, even Allmendinger, like
in 19th is his magic number. He needs 19.
He's going to get
reach 4x. So
yeah.
I thought about putting him as a cash play, but then I saw like the 26 and qualifying 28. So I'm just going to leave it at GPP because I just really don't know like what went wrong here, but hopefully they can fix it early on in the race and be good to go.
He does have a win at Richmond in the last 5 races. So he might not get out to a good start, but Bowman, he's going to back into a win at some point. Yep. As Kyle Busch would say. All right. Next up, we have probably the 2 main value plays of the slate.
Yep.
We got Bubba Wallace and Ty Dillon. Floor is yours.
So my only concern about Bubba Wallace is I believe his crew chief is suspended this week because they did lose a lug nut and lose a wheel. Like, how do you cannot tighten 1? Yeah, it's not 5 anymore. It's 1. How can you mess up 1? Well, I guess it's 4 because
and they failed pre-race inspection.
You used to have to figure out 20 of them, and now you have 4 of them. But anyways, Bubba was 12th in practice. Ty Dillon right below him was 17th. I think both of these guys are going to be really chalky plays. You need to lock them in your lineup because Bubba just needs to finish 23rd to pay off his price tag, which is only moving up 6 spots, and Dillon only needs to move up 5 spots to 25th. And like you said, we have Austin Cindric, which we have no idea what's going on with him. Gillian, Castle, McDowell. There are so many guys in here. Yeah. Kozlowski, that they can definitely make that up, no problem. And there's only one driver potentially behind them that could probably get ahead of them. That would be Stenhouse. So I think that these guys are super, super safe. Even if they wreck out, you're really not going to lose that many because it's still built on a 40 car system. So even if you still get 3 points for finishing 37th. So should Bubba wreck and finish dead last, then he's going to lose 8. So he's going to have a -5, which isn't horrible at 50, 5,000. I'll definitely
it's the price tags that separate these guys.
So this here's where you build your core and figure out who your dominators are between Kurt Busch, Bowman, Wallace, and Dillon. Take 3 of the 4 of them, and then you can play anybody else you want to as the rest of your dominators. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, that is definitely a solid 1 single entry, 3 entry max, 20 entry max. Now 150 lineups, you're alternating those prime plays, those cash plays in and out of different cores. But yeah, it's a great starting spot to go for tomorrow's race. All right, Corey LaJoie, 5,400. I've just decided to always play Corey LaJoie, and I love the starting spot here.
Yeah, and I think we just need to look at the rest like this. Like, you have to decide, is Ricky Stenhouse the one that you want to play here? He looked horrible in practice. He's had his issues. So if you trust him in cash at 65, you're paying a little bit more than some of these other guys. Then that's the decision you have to make. But the rest of these guys you do not need. Yes, you can play LaJoie, but you don't need his salary. There's no reason to play Cody Ware, BJ McLeod, JJ Yaley. You know what's really embarrassing? That BJ McLeod was faster in practice than Austin Cindric. BJ McLeod beat you, Austin Cindric, in practice. I know it's just practice, it's 5%, but I just think that's there's something wrong with Cindric's car or something with that. When BJ McLeod is faster than you, but Justin Haley is another intriguing one down here, and I do have him listed as
did not get to post a qualifying lap.
Correct, and he was 16th in practice, and he is in a colored car. So I think he could be sneaky, but he's a little bit more expensive than some of these other value plays, but he might be a good one to play because I think he's going to have lower ownership, because I think people are going to gravitate to who we're talking about, and I think people might overlook him.
Yeah, I could see it. I don't think you can ignore it. He's going to be in the player pool for sure. And no thanks on Greg Biffle.
Yeah, because Greg Biffle, even if I just, with the 3 points built in, like you might just end up with 3 points from him. He was only supposed to run like Daytona, and then he just keeps on appearing. And I don't know if they're like, I feel bad because Xfinity, you have like 4 or 5 cars each week that aren't making qualifying. And here, just one note too is, it looks like I might have the car number wrong. Like JJ Yaley was a late add. I think Smithley was supposed to be in this, so make sure you don't play Smithley in any of your lineups. I wouldn't play JJ Yaley either. You should not need any of these 4K guys. You should be able to play the 5K guys, and because you only have 2 guys over 10K, mathematically, you should be able to get anybody in your lineup you want. And again, don't feel that you have to spend up. If you like your lineup and you're leaving, like, I wouldn't leave more than like 2,000 on the table for this one. This isn't a plate race where we're telling you to stack the back, because you need to get some of those dominating points up front. You need to get lap leaders. You need to get fast lap, because we have 400 laps. There's going to be a lot of points out there for that, and you're going to need a share of them.
Good call. Good analysis there. I like that. I'm going to definitely adjust the sliders to leave 2,000 and not anything more than that. All right, Mega, that was a great breakdown. Thank you for that. Appreciate the projections here with the practice times. All right, guys, good luck in your race tomorrow. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. That is Mega Ruler 31. You can follow us on at FSI_DFS, and you can find the link in the bio for the Discord chat for any updated cores or projections or news that you may need to know. All right, guys, thank you. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the race tomorrow.
Good luck.